Hello, and thank you for joining the Center for Career Development at Morgan State University. Thank you for joining us today. Today, we are going to be talking about Do It for the Gram Part 2, and that's about marketing your best self on social media. The last time we talked about how you could find your niche, choosing your niche, dealing with your dealing with the appropriate audience and more. So please watch our previous video. And today we'd like to continue in that line. You know, we are going to continue because after that last presentation, we got a few requests for part two because there's so much to do when it comes to social media. And we have our great speakers here. Two of our three speakers from the last time are here, Mr. Walter Kennedy and Mr. Jabari Thompson. So I'm going to pass the floor over for them to, if they can introduce themselves briefly a little bit again, this time, and we'll dive right into talking.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jabari Michael Thompson. I'm a sophomore here at the Morgan State University, majoring in strategic communications.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Walter Kennedy. I am the coordinator of Peer Bears at Morgan State University. I'm also an alum of Morgan State University from 2015 with a Bachelor of Arts in Music.
Okay. So thank you, gentlemen, for joining me again today. It's a pleasure to have you on here. So we'll just dive right in. We know a lot has happened within a short period of time from the last time we did have the presentation. So, and everyone is on social media now. Everyone has freedom of speech. There's freedom of speech, so everyone can sit in their bedrooms behind a gadget and write anything. So, what's your take on selecting your social media platform wisely?
I think I can speak on this because I was talking about this to a friend the other day when they were choosing what social media platform to promote their business. So I guess it depends on what you're trying to relay and then the type of audiences that are on certain platforms. Like if you want a more visual presence, then you would choose Instagram because that's, more over like visuals. But then if you want it to be more about, words or phrases, then it would be like Twitter. And it kind of like is based off of that. And then you kind of get into the nitty gritty of then finding your target audience that way.
I think he hit it on the head. I don't have anything to add.
Of course. Okay. So thank you so much for that. And, we talked about freedom of speech. I mentioned freedom of speech. Can you elaborate a little bit about that? Because the atmosphere in which we found ourselves within the last couple of months, can you stress a little bit more about that? Because social media was used a lot. And that's why a lot of things could happen. That can tell you how fast news spreads when you have social media. It's going to spread faster than when you have probably you listen just to the news. So can you stress a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I mean, I know everybody knows like what's been happening recently, like in the news with the presidential election and all that kind of stuff. And then all of these social media platforms are now muting and blocking our president of the United States, right? So like it's to a point where I think people have the freedom of speech to, relay who they are on social media. But I think social media platforms and CEOs of social media are really getting hip to the point where you can't just go on social media and just bully and say what the heck you want to say nowadays, right? And I think that's a smart tactic because you have family-like people on social media. You have your kids on there, you have your grandparents on there. Everybody is on social media these days and on every platform. I remember a time where Facebook used to be for just college kids, but now our parents are on Facebook, right? So you just have to be careful about what you're saying. You can be yourself and relay your message, but it's to a point where now social media platforms are really getting the hang of, like, you're not going to bully anybody on social media. You're not going to say what you want on social media that's demeaning to another person. And I think that's very smart. I think that's a smart tactic. I mean, it happened with the most powerful person in the world, our president, right? So if it happens to him, it can happen to anyone. But we just need to be careful about, what we're putting out there to the world.
Yeah, I'm glad you spoke on politics, because that's what I wanted to kind of speak on, kind of like even the highest person, which was our president. And then even on I just know from my perspective, I kind of saw kind of like the freedom of speech go into play with like TikTok, because a lot of influencers and then just regular people, you don't have to have a big platform, but you saying what you want to say, and it can either be or what you want to say. It's like you're just saying anything, which is fine, but then it kind of like goes behind of how educated are you about the topic. And then like with COVID, like you don't know how many cases there are or how it's affecting certain people in certain different situations. So it's like, it just goes into like how educated are you about a topic, and then or how valuable your statements are, because I just know a lot of younger people are just saying anything just to be on trend, or just like you said, just bullying and certain things like that. So freedom of speech is still appropriate, but like you said, it still shouldn't be anything really negative towards a group or a race or anything like that.
And we need to be mindful that with freedom of speech, these platforms we use are personal. It's private. It's not like a state property or a nation's property. So that's another thing we need to think about. Now, when it comes to building a winning game plan for your social media marketing, can you touch a little bit on that? Because you have to choose your audience wisely, as we said in the previous webinar we hosted, and then today we talked about choosing your platform wisely. So, what about the winning game plan? Because you want to be successful if you're putting your stuff on social media.
Yep. So I think whatever you do in life, there needs to be a plan, right? So getting your 60-day plan, 90-day plan, year plan, 5 years out, like they ingrained that in us, at Morgan State University. I know when I was there, they ingrained that in us. So having a plan is very key, especially on social media, because you want to know who your target audience is. You want to know if you're selling something. So like my business, I have a business, a social media marketing business. Like I need to know who my target audience is that I want to, sell something to. Or I'm selling logos and flyers and stuff. Like who am I trying to pinpoint? So that's where the plan comes in, to find out, okay, Walter, like I'm trying to get a lot of churches that are really trying to rebrand themselves right now. They got hit hard. People aren't allowed to come in the church now. So people are trying to have virtual programs and all that kind of stuff. So that's the audience that I want to have, right? So I write that down, and then I'm trying to find out, like, okay, now I have churches, but what specific churches am I looking at? Large scale churches, small churches? You just need to find out who they are, what they want to do, and then find out also like what your large scope is. So like my 5-year plan is to make sure that I'm incorporating like an employer or employee in my business. Like I'm the CEO, but I want somebody to work with me, like to be a consultant manager. So I don't have to get on every conference call and to consult with, different churches or different businesses about things. I can just do the work, right? And then I can pay them on the end. But having a plan is very, very key.
Yeah, touching bases on that, you kind of covered like a lot of it, but I was gonna say, kind of like the way I have a plan is, of course, you start with your audience, like we touched on last time, and then what I use, if it's more visual, then there's a bunch of different apps called like Plan and like Grid for Instagram, where you can like plan out your feed so you can see what it looks like before it goes out. And I think apps like that are are kind of beneficial because when you're putting things out into the internet and things like that, it's like it stays there forever, or like you don't want to change it and things like that. So you want to make sure you're kind of reading over and double checking certain things before you just put it out there. And then just also in general, knowing what you want, but also knowing you have room to grow. That's kind of what um dealing with right now. Is like, okay, I've been doing influencer things for like a really long time, but what are other goals that I have? So kind of merging in a different direction, but still knowing like what I want to do, but also knowing like what I've done so far has been good, and still staying consistent with your current plan. But there's always room to grow and room to fine tune certain things.
Absolutely. So does that like tie into the art of storytelling of storytelling? Because if you're choosing your platform wisely, you have a game plan. What then do you what then do you put out there? Because you must be a good orator, if that's the right word, in order to deliver properly, or you're going to lose your audience because you don't hit the nail on the head when it comes to what you're delivering.
You want to take that?
Yeah, so I guess pretty much you would want to, can you repeat the question again, or like the last part of it? My bad.
So the art of storytelling, when you have your audience, you have your content, you have your game plan, you you have to ensure that you have a story you're always like you're delivering. Whatever you're putting has to tie into what your audience. Remember the last time we talked where you said, okay, yes, you could be about lifestyle and fashion, but you could also like Harry Potter, and maybe every now and then you talk about it. You don't want to be out of topic all the times. It's true that sometimes your followers can relate to you,
Mhm.
but then you have a major cause, something prompted you to creating this page. And in as much as sometimes every now and then you could talk about these other things that you're passionate about, but you don't have to miss the target about who your audience is.
Yeah, most definitely. So kind of like in the beginning stages of you starting an Instagram, or when you started Instagram about anything, whether it be a business or a personal Instagram, if you want to kind of make it a platform to kind of benefit or spread the word of something, you want to kind of have a central idea that you want to kind of relay to your target audience. So whatever that is, you want to kind of stay consistent with that. But of course, you don't want to, I mean, depending on if you want to be more professional, whether it's a business or if it's as an influencer, you still want to show certain personality, like my favorite song at the moment, and certain things like that. But like you don't want to just be, a square. So it's always cool to kind of do that sometimes, but I feel like staying consistent with your certain message is always kind of good, because it kind of helps you build a platform, because they know what they're following you for. Like for me personally, if they know they're coming to my page to get outfit inspiration, or see where I'm buying my clothes, or certain model stuff that I'm doing. So it's kind of like you just know what you're going to someone's page for, and it's like you can kind of reflect on yourself of like, okay, why am I following the people that I'm following? It's because I go to their page for this. So kind of just kind of flipping the script and making sure that you're consistent with your brand.
Do you want to touch a little? Would you like to elaborate on that, Mr. Kennedy, or Jabari hit it on the?
Nope.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So we talked about that, the art of storytelling, and I know Mr. Kennedy mentioned it a little bit about, but I'd like to also stress more on setting meaningful social media marketing goals, because you can have one follower and you expect everything to blow out. Just you don't expect to just for everything to happen in a day.
Yep.
So can you talk about setting meaningful social media goals?
Sure. I mean, you said it yourself. Like everything can't go out in one day. Like I can have all of these, meaningful posts and stuff, but I don't want to oversaturate my, audience with, post every day, right? So you have to know, like, when your audience is there. That goes with the statistics. There are statistics that you can look at, like on Instagram and Facebook, about when your audience is looking at your page, what time they're looking at your page, who it is, men or women, where they are in the world, right? So you want to look at those things to be strategic about when you're posting, right? So I'm not going to post on a Friday if, all of my audience is looking at me on a Tuesday and that's my highest time, right? It just doesn't make sense. I'm wasting my time. I'm not going to get the likes that I want. So be strategic, first of all, when planning out, your posts for the week. But also know what your audience likes. Like, it's okay, like, to put up a post and your post doesn't get as many likes as you want it to. Learn from that, and say, what can I do better? What is my audience really looking for, right? Ask those questions. Like, be open to feedback. That's a very big thing for me. I always ask, my clients or whoever, I'm trying to reach my audience, like, what do you want to see from me? Like, what type of things can I do better? Like, thank you for your business, but can you give me some tangible feedback about what I can do? I always like the positive feedback, but I'm always looking for things to do better also. What are my opportunities? How can I better, serve you, right? Um, so that's a big thing. So statistics, looking at your statistics, making sure, like, when to post and where to post, how much to post in a week. That's very important. I think people overlook that sometimes. And when I first started social media, I was just posting whenever. I didn't know about the statistics and stuff, and I was like, okay, why am I not getting the likes that I want, right? But now I'm very strategic about what I post, how I post it. So if I'm putting a quote in there, like, making sure the quote is, quotable, and then putting who put the quote and stuff like that. All of that kind of stuff is important, right? And then engaging with your audience. Like, once you get the post and they're commenting, you want to be personable. So there's like a heart next to their comment, making sure that they know that you commented, or that you saw their comment. That goes a long way. Or just saying, thank you, like replying, not trying, being big headed to the point where, you're not very personable with your audience. Like, show them that you're human also. And you might not get to everyone. Like, Jabari got over 1 million followers. You might not get to the 1 million followers, right? But try your best and let them know, like, that you appreciate them. That's what helps or makes them come back.
Okay.
Yeah, you touched on everything that I was gonna say about this topic. Like, so many points I was just agreeing with, like, head on. So, like, first, the analytics thing, the same thing was happening to me. Like, before, I was posting just any type of day because you hit a certain number of followers and you're like, okay, I can just post anything and people are gonna like it. But you don't know that people are in different time zones and things like that. Like, everything plays in. So I know, I think I said this the last time, but like, I had a little like scheme where I was like, okay, all of my followers are like my age. So if everyone's getting out of school at the same time and checking their phones because they don't have their phones all day, then why not post at 3 o'clock when everybody gets out? And just thinking of things like that. But analytics help a lot if you really want to. And then you said my favorite word, strategic. My major. I'm so strategic about how I post and plan everything. And what else? Just about how you interact with your followers, like doing polls, like you said, about what type of content do you want. That's what I always ask, because I think a goal for me this year is to kind of show more of my personality, like show that I can speak well, and certain things like that, like not just a face. So what type of videos do you guys want me to do? So and then I'm just kind of retouching on everything, like commenting, responding, letting them know that you're a real person, like doing polls and asking them questions and answering questions. That's one thing that's really easy, is literally putting up just talk to me. Like, what do you guys want to know? So a lot of those things have people just really, like how social media is, getting to know people and having people or your audience feel like they can talk to you about anything, or like talk to you about fashion advice and things like that. Like a lot of stuff about social media is just um kind of still, keeping your central idea, your central theme and topic and all that stuff, but still just being a person on social media, because that's, what it is. And yeah, I don't have anything else. You touched on everything.
Okay. So we are going to talk now about like the industry progress. And by that, what do I mean? I mean being able to, yes, you have a target audience, and every now and then you could deter, but then your focus is on a particular industry. If it's comedy, if it's fashion, can you talk more about that as well? Because that is a huge piece when it comes to social media, especially Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, I know that following people in your niche is one thing, where it's like, if I'm a fashion blogger, a fashion influencer, following other fashion people, whether it be, like people even behind the scenes, following photographers, creative directors, fashion designers, sneaker blogs, all of that stuff kind of plays in, because the Instagram algorithm will know that's what you want to see, and then that's what people want to see from you. So then your explore page is going to be about fashion and things like that. So just, it kind of plays into having a personal Instagram and then having a business Instagram. If your business Instagram is about fashion, then you kind of want to only interact with fashion things and certain things like that, so that can be your central kind of like orbit, just having those people around you, so that Instagram can kind of cater to those things. Like me looking for photographers and things like that, I always put my like geotag saying I'm in Baltimore, Maryland, so that other people can know where I am to collaborate and things like that. So just kind of just putting things out there, just knowing how to kind of reach other people in your niche, it would be kind of helpful with that.
So I agree with everything he said. I think sometimes we just have to be careful, even in our different industries, because it's a lot of competitiveness out there, and people don't want to share their platform or share, different pages and stuff. I know, like recently, I talked to someone who was in the industry of like property management, and we were trying to figure out he was trying to figure out like how to really market himself, how to get himself out there, his target audience. And I was like, have you tried, finding influencer that's in your, your sphere of, property management, like that has a big following and stuff, that can share one or two of your posts and stuff. And he was like, yeah, it's very competitive, and I've tried that, but people, are going for the same thing and stuff like that. So I think we just have to be careful about that. Yes, we're going for the same thing, but why can't you support me? Why can't you just throw up some a little post on your story? Like, I don't think that's going to hurt your sales that much, especially if we're in different areas. If I'm doing property management all the way in Baltimore and you're doing it in Chicago, like, help me out. Like, maybe there's someone in Chicago that wants to move to Baltimore, right? And just from your one per post about me, like that creates a sale, and maybe I can help you out and do the same thing. But people don't think that way these days. Like, it's all about competition. It's all about me, me, me. Like, I'm just gonna post my stuff and put my stuff out there. But sometimes we have to help other people out, and we have to, just ask, put yourself out there. Like, if you're new to the industry or new to whatever is going on, and you want to get yourself out there, ask them, can you just put up a post for me? I know Jabari does promotions. Like that's very, very big. Like nowadays to get yourself out there, to get if you want to get your following out there, right? So it's a big thing in social media. And sometimes people charge for it and stuff. I think that's great. Like make your money how you make your money. If you're going to charge me to for me to get myself out there for so many hours or whatever, cool. Like, but don't be competitive to the point where you're being petty and saying like, I'm not gonna put you out there because you're in the same industry as me. You're doing property management too, and you might take away from my customers. I just think that's dumb.
Yeah, like I just to piggyback on that, that whole thing about like I'm a very like welcoming and collaborative person. Like when I see other people modeling the same brands that I model, I'm reposting them on my page. Like I love this fit and interacting with their stuff. And then even people that not saying I'm just the first influencer to work with certain people, but especially just in Maryland and like the DMV, there's not too many like male fashion influencers and things like that. They're more in like bigger cities like LA and Atlanta and things like that. So when people come to me and like they're I'm always willing to help, but then I'm not always looking for the favor to be returned. But then even when they just kind of give you weird vibes, like of course I'm gonna help you and kind of like, you don't want to give everyone all the sauce, but of course you're like, okay, I edit with this, or this is how I take my pictures, and certain things like that. But it's like when like even on my story, repost people's outfits and even just Black businesses and certain things like that, just because I'm like, I don't know who's gonna see it. It might not pertain to me, but my audience is really vast. So I'm, here to help and here to help with my platform. And then just being genuine with your stuff, because you never know who can help you. And in the age of social media, anybody can get 1,000 followers and all this different stuff overnight. So you don't want to burn your bridges in that case.
Yeah. So that also leads us to talking about networking, because that tells you the power of networking. Are you trying to network with people who are only out of your brand, or you're trying to network with people in your brand? When you network with people from you do the same brand, you guys can actually do something really big. So it's always good to think about those things before not willing to share other people's stuff.
Yeah, most definitely. And then also don't only kind of like worry, like if you're a model, don't only just talk to other models, because who's going to take your pictures, where are you going to have your video time and things like that. So also talk to people behind the scenes and just be really collaborative, and don't kind of just hinder certain connections that you have. Like I follow and then you don't have to always think of people in your state. Like you never know if you would be willing to travel somewhere. I mean, of course, COVID kind of has everyone still at the moment, but creating these connections now is so when COVID is over, I have moves to go to certain places, and having those connections and building professional and personal relationships through social media with any and everybody. And just like I said, just being genuine with talking to these people to form actual friendships and relationships, to get to know these people that you could potentially work with.
There's a piece at the table for everyone, right? Okay. So we are going to talk now about engagement in career relevant conversations. In as much as we want to promote and do everything, we want to also ensure that we're professional and we are sharing stuff that can be life changing. So can you talk a little bit about that? Because we learn every day. Personally, I try to learn every day. I'm not a hard nut to crack. If I don't know something, I ask, or I listen, I watch, I try to learn. So there is power in knowledge. So can we talk a little bit about that? How these engagements can relate to, like, career wise? How relevant are they?
So I mean, I think that ties back into networking too. You have to know like where you want to go in life, right? And then when you figure out where you want to go in life, even if you don't know where you want to go in life, like having a clean social media page is very, very key. Because again, you never know who's watching you. You never know who's clicking on your page and stuff like that. You never know who sent someone to your page to look at you for a job or for a career and stuff like that. So be very strategic about what you're posting, when you're posting it, stuff like that. When you put stuff on the internet, it stays on the internet. Even if you delete it, it's on the internet. That's one thing that my mother taught me, like, be careful what you're putting out there to the world, like, because even if you delete it, it does stay out there. But there, to be relevant, there are a lot of uh social media challenges and stuff out there these days that people are doing that are wild. And I know people want to be relevant. I know people want to be, hip to the age and stuff, doing what everybody else is doing. But sometimes you gotta stop and think, like, is this the smart thing to do? Like, if so, there's screenshot or screen recordings these days. So even if you do delete it, somebody has it in their phone. Somebody is sending it to somebody else. So that thing is going around the world. So you just have to be careful, because you never know what's going to come up. Like when you're sitting in an interview and you want something very professional, and the interviewer or the employer is like, you know what, I already researched you. I saw some stuff, that you posted recently, and you're thinking in your mind, yo, that was like years ago. Like I deleted that years ago. How did they find that? So just be key, and be careful about what you post. Like that, it's very key to getting a career down the line. Yeah.
Yes, most definitely. Especially just the younger people. It's just, or just kind of my age group. It's like, I always talk to one of my friends about how like not all exposure is good exposure, because these people, and I was just talking about this yesterday, there's people that are doing the wildest things on social media, and then their Instagram says, I'm a model and I'm a this and that. And I'm like, okay, I'm not seeing any of this, or like you're not portraying that. So that's one thing. And then just like you said, everyone is a person and you can post your personality and things like that, but not even I'm talking about your niche, just being mindful, like you said. Anybody is watching, like the brands that have reached out to me, they're like, I've seen you for a while and we would love to work with you now. But I'm like, how long have they been following? And then that kind of goes into staying consistent with your stuff. Like, not everything's gonna just pop up the next day, and things like that. But then I wanted to also touch on educational things, or just kind of being more professional, and touching on it with my social media. I started, me and a couple of my friends, we started doing Black History Month facts on my on our Instagram reels. So it's like we're more than just a face and just smiling and fashion. Like I'm a fashion influencer, model. My friend from Chicago, he's a model, and then my friend from Philly, he's a photographer. But we all kind of bond over Black History Month. We were like, why not, just say little like fun Black History Month facts about entertainment, about sports, about, politics, and just, it's not for everyone, but it's always nice to kind of see that people are more than just, a face. Cause that's kind of like what I try to stand on, is like, I'm I'm very educated and I go to Morgan State University and I'm in these classes, and I like to kind of touch on those things, not just, just smiling and being handsome, being pretty, that type of situation. So, there's more than, the surface.
Thank you. You guys touched a little bit about the next point that I was going to talk about keeping your profile professionally updated. Regardless of the content that you're putting out there, there has to be some form of professionalism. So can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I think when you're I guess we'll stick with like Instagram right now. So it's very good to put your make your Instagram into a business page. That really helps, because it allows people, if you're selling something or you're doing something professional and you want other recruiters to look at you and stuff, it allows you to put your email on there. So all they have to do is click a button to email you, so they don't have to go 10,000 places to try to find your email. If they want to, contact you, there's a place to put your, contact information. I really don't like put my number out there, but there is a place for that. And then even in your bio has to be, captivating. Like we talked about the last time we had this, making sure your post has like less than 5 seconds to, captivate the audience, right? So that's the same thing with your bio. Like, what do you have in your bio? Is it, a whole bunch of, words put together, or is it concise? Like, hey, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a Black educator, I'm a this and that. And then find a emoji that deals with whatever you're talking about. That never hurts either. It helps the audience out that's looking at your profile. It makes your bio stand out a bit more. But I wouldn't put a whole bunch of words. I would just put like who you are, what you do real quick. So if they're captivating and they want to, look at you, then they can go down your page and look at you. But if it's a whole bunch of mumble jumble where I have to read a whole paragraph, like I'm not so interested anymore. Like I'm gonna go to the next page, right? So you have to keep it professional at all times, and keep yourself updated. Like the things that you do, like if you get certifications and stuff, put that stuff on there. People are looking for, good talent. And again, you never know who's looking at you. You never know who sent someone to your page to look at that. Like with the statistics and stuff, that's good, but you don't really see specifically, oh, Jabari clicked on my page today. Like he could be like the biggest top recruiter for marketing, and like I don't have my stuff together on my page, like, and he's looking for a marketing, guru. And that could have blown my opportunity right there, right? So it's very key to have that stuff. And again, make your page into a business page. That will help you out.
Yes, most definitely recommend doing that, because like you can look at your analytics and there's further things you can do. Like I know if you're selling something, you can run Instagram ads. It's just a lot easier for you to kind of utilize everything. And then I know Facebook has the same thing as running Facebook ads and kind of having analytics. And then just again with your bio, um, it's more professional, and it's easier for you to kind of keep up with things if everything is in the email and it's more professional. And instead of just DMing and it's just like 3-word responses and things like that, and then it kind of just gets you in the mode of being more professional about your craft or about your business. And then of course the bio, instead of having your name, your sign, your birthday, all that different stuff, is like it's not always necessary. So like you said, be very strategic and concise of here's my name, what I do, and then here's how to reach me. Those are the 3 things that I think are really important. And then what else was I gonna say? Oh, and then with starting or with logging in as a business or making your account a business account, you can kind of header your Instagram with a certain niche. Like mine is a fashion model, or your entrepreneur, or certain things like that. So I feel like in some Instagram analytic way, that kind of helps and pushes your account to other accounts like that. So all that plays in.
Okay. So I would like to retract a little. So everything you guys said about professionalism, that's great. But then, when we talked about having people like you being a fashion model and having other fashion models, people thinking that it's not much of it poses a problem being in the same belonging to the same category and in the same at the same location. It's like they can lose an audience, and that audience will go over to you. So what about the case where so if you're both fashion models, right? And fashion model one presents all this great content, and fashion model too does something very similar and about the same time. What do you have to say? Because I know that it's very common. It's very common. I know with TikTok now that doesn't help, but it's very common. We've had instances where um, these these upcoming, should I say, celebrities or influencers get the bomb heads because of instances as such. So what do you have to say about that?
Oh my gosh, yes. So I just so with working with the same brands, um there's this one fashion brand in California where they have I guess they're a new brand, but they're really known for like certain pieces. So everyone in the streetwear community had these pair of pants. And then in another instance, it was this kind of flannel situation. So I I I'll start with saying this and then kind of get into how my situation went, or I'll kind of reverse it. So I my social media manager with the brand hit me and I selected my items and then they got to me, but they kind of get to people earlier. So, or even if we all got at the same time, you're like, I'll shoot my stuff Friday, which today is Tuesday. Somebody already got it and then they shot in the same day and then they posted. So you're like, oh my gosh, they stole my idea or something like that. And that happened with three other influencers that lived in the same area. So I'm like, do I even want to wear this anymore? Because then I'm gonna be looked at as I'm copying off of other people, which isn't the case. It's just, that's what is available and that's what's trending and that's what's hot. So that's what I would want to wear. But I still got the most likes out of everybody. But of course it's always I don't always try to I don't try to compare myself. It's kind of just what it is. And of course you kind of want to have that concept of like Rihanna, for instance, when everyone says anybody can wear anything, but when Rihanna wears it, it's a whole different fit and it's a whole different, like, just having that mentality of not saying you're better, but like when you wear it, it's just, a different vibe. So that's what I kind of take on with my social media, because most of my clothes are being like gifted to me or sent to me through um like a lot of well-known brands. So it's like I know other people are gonna have these pieces on, but it's like you're wearing it. So kind of have that mindset of like, when I wear this, I wore it the way I wanted to wear it. And and it's not always um he wore it like this way and like I would have did this. It's um like Beyonce said, it was like, don't talk about what other people are doing, like you be it and like be about it. So not just like saying I would have wore it this way. You wear it that way, and then see what happens. It's like that's kind of like how I go about my thing with other influencers. And then even when that instance when I wore it, I posted all of us in it, and I didn't say who wore it best or once you do like that type of situation. I just posted all of it, and then we were just all wearing the same fit. So it's just just keeping everything lighthearted and just being like I said, just again genuine, of like, we great minds think alike, instead of they stealing my whatever. So just keeping everything lighthearted.
Okay, did you have anything to add, Walter? Okay, all right. So I know we still have some time here. I've received a suggestion where we talked about you don't want to put all your personal information out there. Getting a second number could be expensive. But what about getting a Google voice number? That's a suggestion from one of our participants. So can you elaborate on that? Because sometimes these Google numbers, sometimes you can lose them. Oh, if you get these apps with these numbers, if you're not using it consistently, you can lose that number. And if you lose that number, that's a problem. It means every time you have to change your phone number, it doesn't seem professional.
Yeah, I think it's very important to have two different numbers, especially if you have a business and stuff. I don't have two different numbers right now, but a Google number is, the best way to go. And I think even for different contact methods like emails, like, so I literally have 50 different emails because I do different things, right? So I'm for my business, like I'm not going to email somebody from my business from my Morgan account because it's just not professional. That's not where I want my work to go. And you know, there's a standard of making sure I'm branding myself. So even my personal email, like my personal email is just my name at Yahoo or whatever. I would never email someone from my business from that email. Even though it has my name, they know who I am. I'm trying to brand my business out there. So my business name is on my email, right? And that goes with any form of communication. You just want to make sure that it's separated, and it's in different places for that reason. It just it's more professional that way. And then again with the numbers, you don't want everybody calling your personal, you know, number. You like for business, or like I'm trying to go to sleep like at 10 o'clock at night. Like I don't need you calling my personal number. Like you can leave me a voicemail on my Google number and I'll get back to you like during business hours, right? So you have to find that common goal, or that you know, fine line also when doing business with people.
I actually had a friend that happened to where they used their personal number for business, and oh my God, 11 p.m. people were calling. So, especially if you have a family, that can be so hectic. So,
Do not disturb is my best friend.
yes, but you don't have all those numbers too. So sometimes people will use different numbers to call you, and it becomes a problem. So, now we are open for questions, and one of the questions we received was, if you're trying to start out with using social media for business, where do you start first?
Repeat that one more time.
If you are trying to start out with using social media for business, where do you start first?
That is a good question. Again, you would have to find who your target audience is. I think, like Jabari said, Instagram is like the most like um, where I think where everyone is going right now, especially because it shows the graphics, it shows the pictures, you can portray what you want with your content. That's the easiest way to go right now when pushing out your business. But I mean, there's a lot of social media apps out there to push out your business, right? So you got to find out what works for you. I would do some research before just, you know, going on and putting myself on Instagram or putting myself on Facebook if you're not comfortable with that. I find that a lot of the times with companies, they're like, oh, okay, we're on Instagram, but like we're not really getting a lot of traction. And it's like, okay, well, why'd you go on Instagram? And then they're calling a person like me who's a marketing person and trying to figure out, okay, well, how do we, you know, get a greater audience, or how do we push things? Now you got to, you know, push out some money because you didn't do your research in the beginning. I mean, thank you to me, like I'll take your money, but I'm trying to help you out. Like be strategic and be smart about what you're doing. Like if you don't have a person, if you're like a church group, and you make an Instagram because everybody else has an Instagram, but you don't have that consistent person to run your Instagram, or you haven't trained someone to do that, then I don't think that's a smart thing to do. And especially if the money for someone to run your Instagram isn't in your budget. Just be smart. That goes back to planning. Like you have to plan out like these different things about where you want your business to go, how you want, you know, your business to run. Um, yeah.
Yeah, so that touching on two things, kind of like my advice, and then like a tidbit, like situation that I kind of went through. So over the summer, a family friend reached out for their business, and they were like, okay, Jabari, he has thousands of followers on Instagram and he knows how to work social media, so we'll bring him on our team. But one, they were a nonprofit, so they were kind of funding their stuff themselves and things like that. And I sat them down on a Zoom call and I wrote down a plan, and then I gave everyone, they didn't have a social media manager. I was just kind of helping them, more like a correspondent, kind of giving them ideas and giving them a plan. So I planned out everything from the target audience, example posts, example quotes, and different things like that, since there were multiple members of the organization. But it kind of fell through because they didn't have one person to kind of help them out. And then it's kind of, how dedicated are you? Because I would send them certain text of, okay, you can post this, or even having a calendar and a schedule for each person if there's multiple people. So person number one post on Monday, and then person number two post on Tuesday, so that it's not overwhelming. So it's just kind of, how dedicated are you to posting? But then that goes into your platform, your target audience and your platform. I know, like you said, Instagram, I think, is the most versatile platform you can go on, because it kind of just stole everything from every other platform, so they would be, the main one. They took stories so that you can do short blurts of certain stuff. And then you have IGTV, and IGTV, you can have almost like an hour long video, so you can speak about whatever you want. And then from TikTok, they took IG Reels, so now you have, even if you want to have short videos, so it's like we have like the 5 second rule of like catching someone's attention. If you want to get your word out like that, then you can speak in something in like 5-10 seconds. So and then even just your captions, you can have a really long caption, or you can even make, if it's a poem or a typed out thing, you can make that a post, and that can be your page. And then even Instagram highlights, if you have something that is pertaining to your brand, or like, you can even have a highlight of getting to know whoever and what our mission is and things like that. It's just so many things that you can do with Instagram. But of course, if you don't want to kind of have that heavy competition of like, I don't want to do everything, you can go on Facebook, and you can make it about, here's all of us, and then here's what we do, and then have that post, and then that post stays up. And you can either repost that, and then Twitter has those short blurbs, and everything has visuals and words, but Instagram kind of encompasses everything. So I would kind of suggest, just when you're starting a business with Instagram, just kind of thinking of how much you're going to utilize everything, because you can, it's possible to reach your audience and get sales and things like that. It's just doing your research. When I started um wanting to kind of like make a name for myself and start making money off Instagram, like monetizing it, Google or look up on YouTube how to monetize my Instagram as a if you're selling something, or anything. So YouTube was my best friend. I know there's a lot of different YouTubers that have videos from like years ago that still apply to now. So I just say, like Walter said, just do your research, because it's all out there. People have tried to been figuring this out for forever, since it started. So the research is out there.
So it's about knowing having a target audience and being specific about your platform research. And at the end of the day, it's about commitment and patience, because it doesn't happen overnight. So if you're starting a business, just bear with time. It's going to happen if you're doing the right thing. And learning never stops. Research is always keep doing your research, because it's going to be helpful. At the end of the day, we are all trying to make money.
I would say don't give up though. If you are a new business, please don't give up. It might seem stressful, but my motto is it has to work or it has to work. Like it's gonna work either way. And someone out there again is looking at you. Like there are people might not like every single post that you post. Trust me, I know for a fact. And I'm hip to likes. I love when people like my posts, but there are times when people don't like my posts and I still get business. Like, and they're like, yo, I saw your post, or I saw someone else repost your post. Like, and it's like, well, I only have 2 likes on that post. What do you mean you saw my post, right? So people are scrolling, they're looking, they might not be liking you, but like they see what you're doing. So keep it up.
Yes, most definitely. Like, especially with the business aspect, I know it's like you're not worried about likes, you're worried about business or people that are actually going to be wanting your services. So it's like, for just a business, my advice would be don't worry about likes and don't worry about things like that. Just it's better to have 10 people that are going to be using your business and 100 people that aren't going to be using it. Just, it's like just showing off for Instagram, because it's like you might as well just buy the followers just so that it looks like you're hype, instead of genuinely growing and genuinely having, your customers, that type of situation.
Jabbar, are you out there buying followers?
It's crazy because I know people that have done that, but it's not helpful in the long run, because it's like, because even if someone is reaching out to you, whether it be business, or I guess just from my situation, with Instagram and with promoting clothing and stuff, it's like, okay, you look good in the clothes, that's fine, but are people going to be swiping up? Are people going to be clicking the link in your bio and things like that? It's like, so I'm just blessed that I didn't fall for that, because I remember in middle school and high school, of course, I was like, you could do this. Oh, then I'm gonna just have the K in my bio and everything. So it's just really beneficial to have real people, and having that, your target audience follow you, because they're gonna give you the results that you want, whether it be business or whether it be engagement on a post or buy, that type of thing. So it pays off.
Okay. So thank you for that. Please don't go out buying followers, because buying followers is not going to yield. You're not really going to get anything from there, because if you have 10,000 followers and you have one like, it already exposes you. So, right? Okay. So just to highlight on what we talked about today. So we talked about selecting your social media platform wisely. We talked about building a winning plan for your social media marketing, the art of storytelling, being able to set meaningful social media goals, marketing goals, the power of industry prowess, engagement in career relevant conversations, and keeping your profile professionally updated. Did I miss anything out?
No, you did good. You did good.
Okay. So with everybody being on social media and us still being virtual, please make use of this time, because at the end of this, you want to come up from this pandemic a better person, probably a millionaire from a business you started during the pandemic. It can happen. If it happens to others, it can happen to you. So just be optimistic, be creative, and hopefully the best comes out from this. So I would like to thank Mr. Walter Kennedy and Mr. Jabari Thompson so much for your time today. You've shared a wealth of knowledge, and we greatly appreciate you taking time out of your day to talk to the students. I hope you can learn one or two things from this presentation, and all the best for 2021. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Thank you.